In the quiet corners of a small, forgotten town, where people lived more by habit than by hope, there was a man who carried something no one could see. He did not boast of it, nor did he seek the validation of others. He walked the dusty streets with a silent determination, his eyes speaking of storms that raged within, yet his lips remained sealed. They called him ordinary. They mocked his silence, accused him of weakness, and laughed at his lack of ambition. But little did they know, behind his silence lived an empire of dreams. Dreams too fragile to be exposed to careless laughter, too sacred to be thrown before doubters. This is the story of that man, the man who carried his dreams in silence. His name was Armin. To the world, he was a simple worker in a broken factory. He stitched shoes for a living, his hands calloused, his back bent, his clothes stained with dust. "Armin, you'll die in this factory just like your father," his co-workers would laugh. "Look at him, always lost in thought. He doesn't even speak much. Maybe he dreams of becoming a king," they joked, their words piercing deeper than any blade. But Armin said nothing. What they didn't know was that every night, when the world slept, Armin lit a small candle in his tiny rented room and pulled out a notebook. Its pages were filled with sketches, plans, and scribbles of ideas, business models, inventions, words of wisdom he collected like treasures. He studied books that others didn't bother to touch. He wasn't just dreaming, he was preparing. Armin understood something that most people never realize. Dreams spoken too early are dreams murdered by doubt, so he carried them in silence. The silence was not easy. Every time he wanted to tell someone, every time he longed for support, he reminded himself of a simple truth. People destroy what they cannot see within themselves. If he told them his dream, they would crush it. If he showed them his plans, they would mock them. So he stayed quiet. Silence became his shield. Silence became his discipline. Silence became his power. In the stillness of night, his dreams grew roots. Years passed, Armin still worked in the factory. From the outside, nothing had changed. To others, he was the same poor man with broken shoes and tired eyes. But within him, he was building mountains. Every coin he saved went into his vision. Every spare second he got was invested in learning. He failed countless times. His small side businesses collapsed. His inventions broke. His savings evaporated more than once. The world laughed again. "See, we told you." Silence has made him a fool. But Armin never explained himself. He understood another truth. Silence confuses the doubters, and action silences them forever. One winter evening, Armin stood at the riverbank, staring at the reflection of his worn-out face. His body was tired, his wallet was empty, and his failures weighed heavy. For the first time, he thought of quitting. "Maybe they were right. Maybe I am just a dreamer, nothing more," he whispered. But then he remembered the nights he had studied, the sacrifices he had made, and the fire that never stopped burning in his chest. "No," he said to himself, "I will not betray my silence. I will not betray my dream." That night, something inside Armin shifted. His silence was no longer just protection. It became his war cry in disguise. Slowly, Armin's persistence bore fruit. One of his small business ideas worked. It wasn't grand, it was just a tiny workshop where he repaired shoes differently, using unique designs he had once sketched in his notebook. People laughed again. So now the shoemaker dreams of being an artist? But this time, customers loved it. His shoes were different, stronger, more elegant. Word spread slowly like a spark waiting for wind. Months later, that spark became a flame. Orders grew, workers joined him, and the same people who mocked him began to wear his creations. Armin still said nothing. He let his work speak. Years turned into decades. The shoemaker of the dusty town was no longer just a factory worker. He was now the owner of factories, the builder of an empire. His brand was known in cities, then in nations. Yet Armin remained the same quiet man. When journalists asked, "What is the secret of your success?" he replied with just one sentence: "I carried my dreams in silence until my silence carried me." The town that once mocked him now built statues in his honor. People taught their children his story, not of a man who was loud with his dreams, but of a man who protected them until they were strong enough to roar on their own. And so, his life became a timeless lesson. Do not waste your dreams on doubters. Do not measure your worth by the laughter of others. Work in silence until your success makes the noise. Because in the end, silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence is power. So remember, my friend, you don't need to announce your dreams to the world. You don't need validation. Protect your vision, nurture it, and build it brick by brick. One day, your results will speak so loudly that the world will be forced to listen. Just like Armin, the man who carried his dreams in silence.